Wipe them out. All of them.
Okay, granted, not all companies are as bad as that, but they are a little more tricky, a little more sleight of hand. But regardless, it's best to be on your toes. I wanted to talk today about just about living in Japan, what to expect, and some of the things you might run into. This may sound a bit negative, but this is basically about problems you may potentially face, so bear with me. One of the things about coming here, you know, if you're new, if you've never been here before, let's say you're coming here to work as an English teacher, which is basically most foreigners here that come here are basically English teachers. One of the things you're going to find about working for an eikaiwa, an English school, is that even though they know you're a foreigner, they will treat you a little differently because they do understand you're not gonna know everything and how to do everything here. At the same time, they will expect you to be like Japanese. It's kind of a 1 minute you are a part of society, the next minute you're not, kind of a thing. No, he doesn't understand when it doesn't really affect the company, but when it does affect the company, you should understand. And what I'm talking about is working overtime. Some of the overtime you work, which may be, for example, doing a Halloween party or a Christmas party, any kind of holiday, those days usually you're not paid for. That's expected of you. And there are other times where schedules might change. Like me, I had a schedule change and I was not asked if I wanted my schedule changed, even though I had the ability to refuse. That was not made clear to me, and that's a long story actually, and maybe I'll get into that another time. It's a whole kind of lawsuit and everything, but yeah, you will be expected to change things maybe when they're not so comfortable for you, things that you may not expect. You may work for, if you're working for a chain of schools, they may ask you to go all the way out to Hamamatsu, for example, when you live in Shizuoka, and that would entail taking a bullet train. Getting up extra early in the morning, taking a bullet train, going out there. Once you say yes to doing favors, there's no end in sight for doing more favors. Basically because they know, okay, he always says yes, and we'll just keep asking him. If you don't do favors, they will be, and not every company, but they may be reluctant to rehire you because you're not working with them, you're not working as a team. Look, I understand there's always a give and take, but some schools will take more than they give. if it comes time for you to ask for a day off, you may be refused. And that's all dependent upon the school. Some schools are more lenient about that, some are not. The first school I worked 6 days a week, and trying to get time off, that was virtually an impossibility. There was one point where I hurt my back. I could not move for at least 5 days, and they were not happy about it. There was nothing I could do about it. I couldn't move, and I had to stay in bed, and it was prescribed by the doctor. Luckily for me, because the doctor said stay in bed, and I had a note, then that helped me out. So whenever you do go to the doctor, get a note. Do it every time, regardless. Just to have your bases covered. Another thing, there's a lot of talk in Japan about black companies. Black companies, the worst of them are going to be called black company. And I guess you could say that there's varying shades of black companies. Some that are black companies. This is a company where an employee has committed suicide. And they call that, which I was just reading an article here, they call that karoshi. And death by karoshi, overwork, it's against the law. The Labor Ministry lists include 334 companies that have received warnings for excessive overtime and other labor violations between last October and this March. So the regional labor bureaus had already individually made these cases public, though they had sometimes withheld the company name. So some of these companies, the punishment is no more than a slap on the wrist. The company benefits more by continuing the overwork practice than not. So if somebody does commit suicide at their company, it's regrettable for the company only because they have to deal with the publicity surrounding it. And not just the publicity, but they have to deal with the family whose family member had committed this suicide. So there's one company in particular, I'm not going to give its name, although it's all over the newspapers. They were warned, and actually somebody had committed suicide, and then after that another person committed suicide. And I don't know how far in between those times were from one employee to another, but I don't think, and don't quote me on this, I don't think it was too far apart. I could be wrong, but regardless, the company didn't really seem to mind that there was another suicide. The punishment was obviously not enough for the company to change its practices. So the list of this black company, it says that they will be updated regularly every month. And like I said, the government's been working on trying to change this overwork situation, and to be honest, it has been met with nothing more than a simple slap on the wrist and a continued bad workplaces, continued place of hell to work at. Some of them don't even go home. They simply sleep on their desk, under their desk, which I've heard of many times. So, English teachers, they're not going to face this. You're not going to really face this kind of thing. There are bad situations that do happen to English teachers. You can find a lot of helpful information on General Government's website, or not General Government, sorry, General Union. If you look up General Union, you can find it's generalunion.org, and on there you can get help from them. You can get legal help. I've had legal help myself. I think it's just best to keep yourself educated, and at the same time, remember what the law is. Try to find out for yourself. You're not going to know everything, so you need somebody to help you out. Best help you're going to get is General Union. Be a part of the union. I wouldn't suggest telling anybody about that right away. Just keep it to yourself, because you're going to feel better if something happens. You're going to know, okay, it's not because I said something to somebody or somebody overheard me say I was a part of the union. It's by law you're allowed to be a part of the union, but just so you're not manipulated or controlled because of it, just keep it to yourself. When you learn better, when you have a better understanding, fine. If you want to tell somebody, that's up to you. There are also rules about the apartment that you live in. The company, most likely, they're going to give you the apartment. They're going to get you the apartment. And if you do lose your job, you are not obligated to leave the premises immediately. There's a law against that. You do have time. Make sure you know what. Make sure you know what those laws are that protect renter, because they'll try and get you out of there as quick as possible. And you may think you have one day when in reality you could have 3 months, 6 months to find another place. So as long as you're paying and everything, even when you're not paying, there's still laws that protect you. They can't just throw you out on the street. So, like I said, go to the generalunion.org. There you will find information on renters' rights and whatnot at another time. Anyway, I wanted to say thanks for watching. It may be a little short on information. I'll gather some more together. If you want to know something, let me know. Leave a message in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe. It's one way to keep on top of information.